What's up, guys? Hector Troy here. Welcome back to episode 3 of the Faith Moves Mountains series. Today we're going to talk about my nutrition, and then you're going to follow me to the gym for leg day 1 of 2 that I do during a 5-day week workout week. So today we're going to start with my breakfast. We're going to cook 4 eggs, scrambled, nothing fancy, a little bit of sea salt sprayed into it. And then I'm also going to work on my shake. The shake has 150 grams of blueberries. All I do is just buy traditional blueberries. They can be organic, whatever you'd like. I'm going to sprinkle 1 teaspoon of cinnamon in it, and I kind of already know the measurement, so I'm just going to sprinkle in it right out of the jar. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and add some probiotic greens, some protein by Jim, JYM, and then mix that up. So in this episode, we're going to go over what my nutrition is, and then towards the end, I'll go ahead and talk about nutrition. I'm not a nutritionist, so please, any advice that I give you is just strictly what I follow. Do not treat it as me being a nutritionist and give you advice. So I'm going to go over my macros, what macros are simply laid out for you, and hopefully some of the information that I share with you, you can take and apply to your life, because everything starts in the kitchen. It truly does. Ask anybody in any sport. If you're not eating right, you're not performing right. So now that you saw my breakfast, let's talk about the rest of the day. So right after the gym, immediately after the gym, I'll take 1 scoop of protein. And that's so that my body gets that fuel that it needs right after exerting myself, right? And then the most important meal is the one right after the meal, as Coach Jordan alluded to in the last video. If you watched it, if you didn't, go back and watch it. So my next meal would be ground turkey. So I'll do 7 ounces of 93.7 ground turkey. And then I'll also do 6 ounces of potatoes. It doesn't matter what potatoes, this is my carb source right here. You could do rice if you wanted to. Potatoes is just my choice. I'll also include some greens. So I'll do baby spinach, 100 grams of spinach. You can either cook it or keep it raw. So I like it, I kind of mix it up. In that, I'll season it with some Flavor God. So I'll pull this out. So some Flavor God. It doesn't have to be Flavor God. And I'm not sponsored by Flavor God or anything. This is just what I use, and it's really good. So that's my next meal right after the gym, right? And that fuels me up. I feel good. It gives my body not only more protein eventually, more carbohydrates. So that's the next meal that I have. That would be technically my second meal. My third meal, I have some protein bars that I take. So I do an MRE bar. They're really good, especially this flavor right here. They're really, really good. So I'll do that, and I'll do a protein shake again. So once I finish that protein shake and this, I won't have a meal for a while, because it'll be my last meal of the day. My last meal of the day is 93.7 lean ground beef. My goal is to keep the fats down right now. That's why the 93.7 turkey comes into play, and so does the 93.7 beef. With that beef, I also have the same greens, so 100 grams of cooked spinach or raw, and then I also do the 6 ounces of potatoes. And the potatoes are cooked, and they're all kind of like in one hodgepodge in a tray that I carry to work. Now with that, for me right now, that's about 2,200 calories a day, a little less than that, but right around that ballpark. For me, I'm in a deficit, and what a caloric deficit means, for me, my maintained calories, right, is about 2,800 a day. For my activity level, the type of work that I do, it's not sedentary and it's not the most active type of work, but it's right in the middle. So for me, I'm trying to lose and burn fat. I'm in a deficit, caloric deficit. For someone like you, you're looking at this meal and you're like, oh my gosh, that's gonna kill me. You're right, because it's probably a caloric deficit for most males. For most females, it's probably a maintain. Most females are probably right around 18 to 2,000 maintained caloric state. Now for you, you can increase this. In the breakfast, I had the 4 eggs, I had the shake. You can add oatmeal to it, maybe 1 or 2 packs, and make that your staple breakfast. The biggest thing that I'm going to stress, and you'll probably hear me say it again in this video, is consistency. Consistency is key. If you're following any of the diets, keto diet, if you're fasting, right? Intermittent fasting, whatever it is, stay consistent. Your body's a machine. And if you give it something, it adjusts to that and it expects that. If you don't, if you're constantly changing it, you wake up in the morning, you have a huge breakfast, and at lunch, you're too busy at work, so you don't have any lunch, but then you have a huge dinner. Then the next day you wake up, you have no time for breakfast, but you have a huge lunch because you go out with your friends. And you get home and have a huge dinner, and then so forth. And everything's just changing. Your body is constantly adapting to that, and it doesn't know what to do. So you give it this influx of calories one day, so it's, oh wow, I got this influx of calories, I'm gonna burn it, right? But then the next day you deprive it of those calories, and now your body's tripping out. The next day, what is it gonna do? It's gonna think, well, here's a cycle. I go one day with low calories, one day with calories, so I'm gonna store some of this energy, right, calories, so that tomorrow, when they don't feed me that huge influx of energy, I'll have some. But then guess what you do as a machine, right? You give it a huge, vast amount of energy. You have an amazing brunch with your friends. So now your body stored all that energy and you gave it more energy. This is where you start gaining that weight. You start gaining some fat, unwanted fat, and before you know it, over a course of a year, you've gained 20, 30 pounds. So find consistency. It doesn't have to be the diet that I showed you, but stick to lean proteins, carbohydrates, whatever your choice is, rice, potatoes, and then also do some greens and some fats, but keep the fats down. Later in the video, I'm gonna explain what MyFitnessPal is and how I use that, but for now, I'm gonna go crush my breakfast. All right, guys, we're gonna start off with the machine seated leg extension. This is one of my favorites because it creates blood flow to those quads. However, your squats are coming next and it's gonna hurt. So on this one, we started with a set of 12, moved on to a set of 10, finished out with 2 sets of 8. The last set of 8, you're gonna go ahead and split however much you were pushing, and you're gonna complete 12 reps, so it's like a burnout, like a drop set. Today's barbell back squat is the next movement that we're working on. We're gonna go 3 sets, 10, 10, 8. Go a little heavier. Again, my calories are low, so I'm not as strong as I usually am. I started off with 135, moved on to 185, and then slapped 225 on that bar. This next one, we're gonna go barbell back squat, but now we're gonna do drop sets. What I did here, I kept the 225 that I had from the last set, and I added 3 sets of 10s to each side, so in essence, 60 pounds. And I'm gonna go 4 reps at the heaviest, drop a set of 10, another 4 reps, drop another 10 on each side, 4 reps, drop the last set of 10s, and to do 4 more reps at 225. Should be total of 16 reps, and that's 2 sets of this. This next workout, seated leg press. This is gonna be a tough one after doing both the back squat and the seated leg extension. On this one, we're gonna go 5 sets of 12. Now I'm gonna start out with 4 plates, and then I'm gonna increase the load. As you get heavier with a movement here, let's talk about some points of performance. A lot of people cheat the distance they travel. Bring those knees in so they make contact with the chest, and then drive out. My feet were shoulder width apart, and I'm also focusing on driving the knees out and not allowing them to collapse. Once I push out, do not lock your legs out. This next one is probably my least favorite, the machine prone lying leg curl. This is all hammies right here, green eggs and hammies. We got 4 sets, 12, 10, 8, 8, and on the last set of 8, you're gonna do a drop set of 12. You could spice it up a little bit and do drop set in the last 2 sets of 8 of 12 reps. I stuck to just the last set for 12 reps just because I'm fatigued. On this one, find something to posture up on your elbows. Don't lay down flat, posture up on your elbows so that the focus is on the glutes and hamstrings. You can point your toes out away from you or in towards you, and that'll change the movement a lot. So on this one, squeeze at the top and then control the release. Like I've spoken about in the other videos before, you gotta control the descend and the ascend. The last movement we're moving into is probably the most challenging for the central nervous system, especially after doing all those leg movements. We're gonna go with the barbell deadlift. We're gonna start with 4 sets of 10 to 12. I started out light at 135. Everything should be nice and warm. And then I finished out at 225 for the last 2 sets. The next one, barbell deadlift drop set. You're gonna do similar to the squats. 2 sets, and you're gonna do drop a plate, 4, drop a plate, 4, drop a plate, 4, drop a plate, 4. It'll be a total of 16 reps, similar to the back squat that we did. And here the focus is working those glutes, those hamstrings, and also that low back. Just working on that posterior chain and strengthening it. I wanna close out though by finishing up and wrapping up nutrition. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, it starts in the kitchen. Six-pack abs start in the kitchen, and that's a joke. I know not everybody wants 6-pack abs, or I have a 4-pack, so I'm happy with that. But we all wanna look good and feel good, because when we look good and feel good, we perform good, right? We perform excellent and well. With that, let me share this with you. Most of you probably don't know much about nutrition as far as the macro breakdown. Macronutrients are divided into 3 different categories: proteins, carbs, and fats. Each gram of protein and carbs equals 4 calories. Fat, 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. That's why after you have a heavy or a high fat meal, you feel so tired, because your calorie intake is crazy, right? When you go have sushi and you keep it limited to just fish and rice, you don't feel so tired, you feel good. In fact, you're hungry sooner than later, right? So you take that information, download MyFitnessPal. I'm not sponsored by them, that's just what I use as a guide. When you download the app, it'll give you options to set your daily caloric rate. You can use websites to find your base metabolic rate, and then also input the type of work you do, and it'll spit out a maintenance caloric intake. Once you download MyFitnessPal, set it to 40% carbs, 40% protein, and then the remaining fats. Always want to keep those fats low, and that's for everyone. So, thank you for watching this. I'm really grateful for everyone that's following. We're getting a lot of positive feedback. I'm really grateful. We're halfway through it. The next episode, we're gonna discuss my nutrition, and I'm also gonna tell you what I take and why I take it, and maybe give you some recommendations that you can take. Again, thank you for watching our series. Hit the like button, share with your friends, comment down below. See you next one.